Hi, my name is Leighton Jin. I'm the Director of Development for the American Documentary and Animation Film Festival, AmDocs to our friends, which will be March 27th through 31st at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. Today, we have a very special guest, Coachella Valley's top journalist, Olivia Sandusky. And this will be her first year as part of the festival, as part of a program we have with our local television stations. And she has two fantastic projects. Olivia, thank you. And we're excited to have you as part of the festival.
Well, thank you for that introduction. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. I think this is so neat. And I always love when the festivals come to town. So to actually be a part of it and to kind of share my work with everybody through it, I'm just so looking forward to it.
So let's go ahead and get into your projects. The first one, I believe, is the Salton Sea. And
Yeah, this was a two-part series. And I think what's really neat about this one was just how it came about. I was scrolling through Facebook one day and saw a local wildlife photographer posting all these amazing water birds and this amazing scenery and all in this like serene wetland environment. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I wonder where that is. Looked on the map and it's like 45 minutes from my house. And I'm like, I have to go see what the Salton Sea is all about. And I felt bad, honestly, for have living here for 5 years and really not ever venturing down to the Salton Sea and learning enough about its impact on our communities. So I went down there. I asked this photographer, whose name is Paulette Donnellan, if I could shadow her for the morning. We went at sunrise. We watched the birds migrate over the Salton Sea in the morning. And from that moment, I was like, we're doing a special on this. Let's dive into all the stories. We started from the wildlife aspect. We talked about the lithium, all of the water use, the air quality issues, the pollutants, the communities that are trying to rebuild. So it just kept, once I'd meet somebody new, it kept growing and growing and growing until we got a two-part special out of it.
then there's been a couple of stories done of Salton Sea. What do you think people will be surprised to learn about Salton Sea from your piece?
I think what makes this piece a little bit unique is that we hear a lot of the negatives about the sea all the time, which is, the toxicity and the troubles that the communities go through, which is touched on because those are important. But I think what people may be interested to learn about is all of the work that's being done and all of the projects. We walk through the 10-year plan to restore the sea. We talk about all the advancements in the lithium projects. So I think it's maybe something that maybe if you're not, the most up to date on what's happening or some of the good news as well around the sea, this touches on a little bit of everything.
Well, that sounds exciting, but that's not the only piece that you're going to have for us. Can you talk to me about your other piece?
Yeah, the other project that we have besides the two-part series on the Salton Sea is this project called the Tribes of the Coachella Valley, which I just finished up in November, and it's one of my favorite reports I've done in my, I don't know, 7, 10 years as a journalist. It was so amazing. When I was putting together my Salton Sea special, one of the stories we focused on was the Chuckwalla National Monument, and I went with the tribal chairman for the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla Indians, and we did this hike through the Mecca Hills, and it was so incredible. And he was telling me about, well, the focus of that piece was about how as the Salton Sea continues to become a little more toxic, the importance of preserving other areas of wildlife became that much more important. And as I talked to him, I just started to get this rich history of the Native American culture and traditions that was connected to this land. And when I left that interview, I was just thinking, I have to dive deeper into the history of the Coachella Valley as it relates to Native Americans because they were here first, and their story is the Coachella Valley story. So
Mhm.
for Native American Heritage Month, I spoke to every single tribe that calls the Coachella Valley home and kind of let them share their past, what they've been through, and where they see themselves in the future. And it was so neat, even though they're all bands of the same, they're all Cahuilla Indians, except for one is the Chemehuevi Nation. But even though they all seem, like if you look into it, so similar, they're all so different and they all have such unique challenges that they've dealt with. So it was really, I learned a lot, and I hope that the community will as well, just to see the history that's here that's probably not told as often as it should be.
Yeah, I applaud you for doing that. I think that's a great project. I was very happy to see that's going to be part of our festival because we have great tribes and there's such great contributions to our community. I moved here 25 years ago. I've seen how, through the casinos, I've seen how they've grown and the impact that they've had. It keeps growing and growing. And it's just more, all for the positive. So I think it's overdue, and I'm just glad we're going to have something like that on the
Yeah,
tribes.
thank you. I think for the people who maybe only know the tribe in relation to their casino that is on their reservation, it'll be really neat for them to see, oh wow, okay, I've heard of Augustine Casino, but now I know the two sisters who are the tribal chairman and like spearheading all the projects for the Augustine tribe, and you'll feel a little bit more like the roots behind everything, not just the casino you see on the side of the freeway.
Yeah, and it's just remarkable how much they've grown
Yes.
and the impact that they've had. So this is, I believe, so what we've done with this program is we work with the local stations to take some of their top stories to give them a chance to feature on the big screen. What are your thoughts about seeing your work on the big screen? I know you've probably seen it a lot of times just editing and stuff like that. What are your thoughts about having the opportunity to see it on the big screen? And then hopefully we can work with your schedule to have you do the Q&A afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, I would absolutely love to do that. I have been picturing it up on the big screen, and it's almost like making me a little bit emotional because these projects, especially the Native American story, was 45 minutes long, which in news terms is like, an epic poem. So to see it kind of with all the work and all the coordinating and all the planning, and then to watch it up in a big screen and have people physically in the building to watch for us. A lot of the times when we create projects in news, we send it out through, right over the airwaves to your television or through YouTube or something, and we don't get to see the immediate reaction. So I think to have like an actual audience there and to see all of the images in something a little bit bigger than a phone screen is going to feel really powerful to me. And I'm just excited to get the opportunity. So thank you to you and to the AmDoc Film Festival for incorporating journalism, because there are so many important stories that are shared locally and maybe not often thought of in the documentary lens. So it's really awesome that you guys do this every year.
Let's circle back to your projects. 45 minutes, and then the other one is it 220 minutes? Is that
It's two 22s, yeah. So about the same.
222? So I mean, those are really long for a local TV station. Can you talk to me how not only how this came about, but how you were able to get so much time to tell these stories and the cooperation with your team over at NBC Palm Springs?
Yeah, that's something I've been really fortunate about here is our news director kind of just allows you to, if you've got a vision and something that you want to carry out, and you come in with here's kind of my plan, tell me what you think, they'll work with you to help you create journalistically pretty much, whatever you can set your mind to. And the Salton Sea ones just started to build in a way where at first I was airing every story I was telling just once a week on the news. Hey, here's the story that I've kind of found out, and just every week as a series. And then as it went, it was more like maybe these could be better strung together as one comprehensive special. And so once I kind of did that for the Salton Sea part one, it was something I wanted to emulate for a part two. And then a few months later, when the Native American special came along, I was thinking there are way too many tribes and stories to try to jam this into a 22-minute special is a half hour with 4 commercial breaks. And I was thinking, I can't do that and do this in a, respectful way. So let's do an hour long special. So there were, the 8 commercial breaks, whatever you've got in an hour, and just go piece by piece, which takes a ton of coordination in making every segment count and filling up the time that you need to get to that. But it wasn't something that we had to stretch at all because we had so much amazing content coming from not just tribal leaders, but local tribal members, bird singers, all of the festivals that they hold as well, their powwows. So it started to be like, uh-oh, we've got to cut stuff out, even though you'd think 44 minutes sounds so long.
Well, I mean, I applaud the station for giving you the chance to really tell those stories fully because, I used to be a sports writer and we're always confined by, space and time.
Yep.
And so it's great that they gave you the chance. Now, with you converting your pieces to our format, have you started to think more like long form journalism and maybe other documentaries for yourself in the future?
Yes, definitely. I already have kind of a little roadmap because last year was the first year that I really started to experiment in more long form journalism. And the minute I did it, I'm like, all right, I think I found my newest passion. It's storytelling that's not just a minute and 30 on the news and it's done. It's let's break things down and slow things down and allow the viewer a little time to like get immersed in it and absorb it more. So this year I already have kind of three specials that I'm planning on working on doing maybe one every 3 to 4 months because it does take, on top of my day job of being a news anchor, doing these on the side just for fun. So I have three projects already that I'm planning on working on this year and making them about a half-hour special length. And the first one that I'm starting with is my Salton Sea Part 3. And I'm already coordinating and getting all of the contacts and starting to get those interviews going next week. So I'm like, we're going to get everything going. I'm also hoping to do this year a cold case crime special where we talk with the Riverside County DA's office, and we're going to go through case by case of some cases out here in the Coachella Valley that haven't been solved for decades, unidentified missing persons, and kind of going through to see if we can find any help or justice for families out here in the Coachella Valley. And then the third special, I don't want to talk about yet because it's a little too early, but we've got a lot of plans.
Wow, that's very exciting. Like
Yeah.
again, kudos for the station for doing
Yes.
that and give you a chance to do some long form. So a little bit about your background. You could also work in sports too. Can you talk about your athletic background? But I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, a little bit of your husband's athletic background because you guys are kind of like the power couple.
Yeah, of course. I always love talking about our background. I grew up playing sports. I got an offer to play collegiate softball, so I played at the University of San Diego, which was so fantastic. It's a nice, smaller Division I program, so a beautiful school. My now husband played baseball at University of San Diego too, so we met playing sports, playing catch and all that kind of stuff. So that was really fun. And then his junior year of college, he was drafted by the New York Yankees. So he was first round draft pick in 2015 and went, immediately to Staten Island and started playing baseball. And when I was in grad school, I started to work as a freelance for the Associated Press. So I would cover Dodger games and kind of help their main writer. I'd grab quotes in either the home or away locker rooms. And oh my gosh, that was like my favorite job. Don't tell my boss, but it was such an amazing job. And so he was playing baseball. I was doing all, sports types things. And then when I actually got to a newsroom, I was interested in doing sports at first and then fell into more news storytelling and the sports side kind of died off, but still a big sports fan.
So what position did you play?
I was a center fielder. Center
Let's
fielder, he was a shortstop. So different skill sets. So our kids will be
gotcha. But I mean, what was the household like during the World Series? His Yankees, your Dodgers. I mean, that must have been interesting.
It was, but I try not to brag too much. I had my little bobbleheads out, my jersey on, but the house divided just for the World Series.
That's cool. Um, and what now? Let's just on a general thing. I know this is a start for you, but what are your thoughts about documentaries and journalism? Because obviously, with journalism, it's changing, not always for the better because it's shrinking. Newsrooms are shrinking, both print and broadcast.
Right.
Where do you think documentaries could play in continuing to tell stories, needed stories for our community and for our country, really?
I think that newsrooms should kind of emulate what my boss has presented to us here, which is if you want to tell a story in a long form way and it doesn't really interfere with your every night 5, 6, and 11 p.m. news anchor role, do it. Because I think as we see through streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, if you've got a great story and you've got a great documentary, the world is like ready to listen and ready to kind of learn about whatever subject as long as you can present it in a clear, professional, and honest way. There's such a big space in our country for stories like that. And that more long form documentary style allows for you to just get so much more information. I watch so many documentaries to learn. And I think it's such an important tool. Not everybody is a quick, newsroom 30-second story. They want to get into the weeds of it. And so I think it's such an important tool for newsrooms where if you have the capability to turn something where it's more of an investigative, in-depth, long-form piece, it can just be, in addition to the amazing work you do nightly on your station, it can be like on our website, we have a subsection for special reports. That's what we try to focus on in a little bit more in depth. And I think if they have the facilities to do that, more stations should focus on that, because you look at some of, the what's winning awards and what's getting viewed millions and millions of times online. If it's on YouTube as well, too, it's such an important area to share all that. It's something that the country seems to want, and we should meet them where they're at.
That's well said. I really agree with you, and that's why I'm happy that you're participating in our festival and enriching it with your work. And I hope you get a chance to spend some time with some of our filmmakers. I think you'll enjoy that too, and maybe they'll give you some ideas. We have some animators in case he needs to do some recreations.
Oh, you know what? That might help for the cold case stories where we don't have a ton of video. So I'd
Oh
love
well,
to, I'd love to. I think the networking aspect of this is going to be the neatest part, is just because I'm so brand new to the field, to just hear from and to watch. I hope I can watch some of the other projects and get ideas and network and talk, creatively with other people who are at the festival, because that's going to open up my eyes to, a whole new world of storytelling.
yeah. Well, that's one of the best part of our festival is the network. We've kind of
Yeah.
created a real family atmosphere. I think you enjoy a lot of the people. I'll happily introduce you to some of the ones that I'm very fond with who have been there many times. So
Awesome. Yeah,
we're looking
thank you. Well,
forward to
I'm
it.
looking forward to it.
Well, thanks again, Olivia. Just to remind everyone, March 27th through 31st at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. Uh, Miss Olivia Sandusky, the Coachella Valley Journalist of the Year, she was named last week. Congratulations. Beat one
Thank
of my friends.
you. Did I? Was it
Yeah, you
Shad?
did. Yeah, it was Shad.
He's
Shout
been
out to Shad.
now
Uh,
we just ran into each other last week, and he's like my arch nemesis. Shad's an amazing journalist, though.
yeah.
He's very talented.
Yeah, I worked for Shad for several years, but I tell him I'm Team Olivia.
Hopefully he won't watch this.
But again, March 27th through 31st, and at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. Olivia, thank you so much. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
having you as part of the family, and many thanks again.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see you. I'll see everybody there. And thank you again. Thank you for all of this.